Before we get into everything you need to know about our kitchen tower, let me tell you what is a kitchen tower. It's basically like an elevated step stool. It has a larger landing space than a traditional step stool and is enclosed, thereby creating the tower effect that allows your child to be in there safely and they're enclosed. That brings them up to about counter height. The one that I'm going to be talking about is the one that we have, which is by Guidecraft, and that one retails on their website for about $229.95 US dollars, Canadian on Wayfair for about $365. At least that's what I saw it for today. So it is on the pricier point, but let's get into it. Let's see what their website has to say. Okay. On the Guidecraft website, we're going to be looking at the Martha Stewart Kitchen Helper stool with 2 keepers. It's actually right back there. And the keepers refers to that mesh piece. It is advertised to promote independence, safety, and togetherness. It securely elevates toddlers and young children to counter height, allowing them to safely join in on moments of family togetherness in the kitchen. That is so cute. It's lightweight, easy to move, and folds flat. That was a selling feature and actually one of the key features I was looking for a kitchen tower for us, because most of what I was seeing was very bulky. When you build it, it stayed open and it wouldn't collapse. So it would take up a lot of real estate in your kitchen. The features includes it's made from durable birch plywood and beech solids, has a feature of being scratch resistant in terms of an easy to clean finish, and it includes a non-slip mat. And the best part for me was that it ships almost fully assembled. So all you really had to do is attach little feet. I'll show you on the bottom. And that was it. Otherwise, it was ready to go. Now we know what it says online. Let me tell you why we decided to get it. We got our Guidecraft kitchen tower when my daughter had just turned 1, really because in true and typical toddler form, her interest and curiosity in what we were doing was just going through the roof. It was peaking. She wanted to be involved. She wanted to be with us, especially in the kitchen. And I was really exploring ways to allow her to be in there, encourage that curiosity, give her some independence in a safe way. So in my research, one of the things I commonly came across was the kitchen tower. And the Guidecraft one was actually one of the more popular ones that I was seeing. A lot of people were commenting on its durability and quality. I also was a little influenced because of what I was seeing on Instagram. A lot of Montessori parents were using the Guidecraft one. It was a very popular brand that was being used. And as somebody who was starting off in a Montessori inspired journey at that time, I really wanted to get the same thing because I felt if they were using it, it must be good. And if I want to follow Montessori, I need to do this. I need to get this. And this was one of those buys. But I will add that I do not regret it. This is one of those influenced buys I am very happy with. The quality's been top notch. And one of my favorite things is not only does she get to be involved in the kitchen, it folds so nicely. Let me show you. So the kitchen tower, as you can see right now, is collapsed. When we open it, the amount of real estate it would take if it did not close is quite a lot. It's about almost 2 feet that it would take up if it did not close. So I am very pleased with it. As you can see, it seems to continue to work. It has withstand years of toddler play. We've had this one for almost 3 years now. And I actually don't have any complaints. Coming up with the cons, which I'll talk about later, was quite challenging for this one. But come a little closer and I'm going to show you a close-up of how to open it. This is how it looks open. So there is this non-slip mat, which I was looking for. A lot of towers that I saw didn't have this added feature. It was important to me mostly because I wanted to make sure that if she was wearing socks or something spilled, she couldn't slip easily either out of it or hit her head on the sides. And as I mentioned, there are 2 of the covers here. So this one actually doesn't open. There are no buckles. This one has a buckle, so you easily unbuckle it. And she can do it herself now. Unbuckle it and climb in. One very important safety feature though that I wanted to show you. So you cannot collapse it. This button here needs to be pressed to open it, but I want to show you one important thing when opening it. Okay, this is what it looks like open without the landing, but this is going to be loud. This landing, it doesn't have like a equivalent of an easy close or open. It actually will slam. So prep your ears. If there were fingers there, that would be squished. There's a small little cut here, but they will still squeeze. So one thing is, if you are going to be opening this or allowing your child to open it, just be careful because that will slam on their fingers. One of the other things I mentioned is that it did come fully assembled. These are the feet. This is what I was referring to. These are the feet that you just attach. So they're 8 in total, 2 per. So you just screw them in. This one is the one, and this one. It gives it that extra stability. We have been using our kitchen tower for about 3 years, and honestly, there isn't many signs of wear and tear. The only one that I referred to is there's a slight crack that you might be able to see there. That was the one that actually came with it when I purchased it, and I was a little nervous, but it hasn't expanded since. Now for my favorite part. Pros, cons, and who would I recommend this for? Let's start off with some good news first. The pros. Number 1 on my list is safety. As I mentioned, I was looking for something that my daughter could be in the kitchen with me that allows her to be included and be involved in a safe way. The Guidecraft tower, it really checked off all the boxes for me. I loved that it was enclosed on all 4 sides because I've seen ones where it's open in the back, and for me, I knew my daughter leaned backwards a lot and I was worried she would topple out. I also really liked that it had the non-slip mat just to prevent any slippage while she's in there. The only risk, I would say, in terms of a safety element is that landing does slam, but we're there to make sure when she's opening it, when we're opening it, that there's no fingers there, and we found a way to make it work for us. The other one for me is the durability, and that it is compact. So it has lasted almost 3 years of play and use, with no real signs of wear and tear on it. There was that initial crack, but that seems to be more of a defect with the product. And we did have it replaced initially, got another one, and there still is a crack. The crack hasn't expanded. Really don't see it as much of a risk for us. At least from what we're noticing, it's not expanding. And my number 1, I love that it folds. It's compact, and I can tuck it away when it's not in use. It doesn't take up that much space. So I love that it's not bulky. I've seen so many that are, and I wanted one that I could tuck away. The third benefit and a pro for me, it is that she gets that independence. That is one of the things I was really inspired by, was through Montessori, encouraging independence, fostering skills, and teaching them a lot of practical life skills. And the kitchen tower gave me the tool and the ability to do that with her in the kitchen, although I haven't done it to the extent I would love to, but it gives me that opportunity. It gives her an opportunity to feel independent, from washing her hands to mixing eggs in a bowl, pouring liquids into the mixer with me. She gets to have that experience and exposure. And the last one, assembly. I loved that it came almost fully assembled and all I had to do was attach feet. Now for the cons. I'll be honest, this was a bit challenging because I really only have 2. Cost and adjustment. The cost is quite high. It's over $200 US, which is over 300 Canadian dollars. And I recognize that is not accessible and affordable for a lot of families. This was definitely a spend item for us. In terms of it growing with us, I did justify it initially, but it does take me to my second con. Adjustment. The landing is at one height. You cannot move it up and down. There are some towers that allow for that. So for my daughter, when she gets older, we can't lower it. So the problem being, she will still be too short to stand at the ground level and reach the counter, but too tall where it becomes uncomfortable to hunch over to do the work through the tower. So it's not going to continue to grow with her, but I think almost 3 years isn't bad in terms of an item for use so far. We may be able to stretch another year or so out of it. TBD. So overall, who would I recommend this for? I think this product is something I would love to deem as a must-have, but I'm wary of doing so only because of the cost. It is quite expensive and I appreciate that. So I am going to call it a great to have because it has helped us in so many ways, from giving us the opportunity to include her in the kitchen to allowing us to do other things in the kitchen while she does something like sensory play or French classes. And it's also something that has, I feel, paid itself off over years for us because we're not just using it once and every so often. We're using it almost every weekend. Or as my father likes to say, it's paid for itself already. So that's why I would call it a great to have. This isn't an item I wouldn't even categorize as something that only, if you're homeschooling, it's greater value to you. If you're doing Montessori, it's greater value. I think as long as you have a toddler, there is value in having something like this from a safety perspective, from an independence perspective, and also from my own perspective of just being able to get things done together, but separately, together in the same space, but doing our own things. Because I know I couldn't just leave my daughter in the living room because she wanted to be in the kitchen with me. So I think this is an item that you can have even if you're not homeschooling, even if you're not following Montessori. It is a great to have item. And if there are any lingering questions that I have not answered, please comment. Let me know what else you'd like to know. And in case you haven't heard, P.S. It's Mira.